You're listening to the DGD Podcast, sponsored by La Touraine. Here's your hosts, Robert Reynolds and Juan Daniels.
Welcome to this episode of the DGD Podcast, brought to you by La Touraine. Make sure you use the DGD app checkout, 10% off site-wide. But first, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff going on. Juan, it's a pleasure having you on again, sir. You know what we're about to talk about. First off, we're going to talk about. We'll give you a little bit of a preview for today's show for those watching, guys. Offensive breakdown for this 2022 class. LT Overton reclassing. What does that mean? Also, new hire, right? Offensive outside linebackers coach from TCU. Talk maybe a little bit about that. Might, depending on how time goes, we might talk about that Monday. But also, obviously, new hire. Look, the shit show called Auburn, guys. If you're not familiar with it, we're going to bring that up a little bit. And Mr. Fisher, Jimbo, and A&M kind of went a little bit defensive at some comments on National Signing Day. So we're going to talk about that too, guys. It's going to be a lot. So get ready. But first, the 2022 class is over, or for the most part over, I should say. National Signing Day has come and gone. Wednesday picked up E.J. Lightsey, picked up Andrew Paul, which is, in my opinion, well, outside of Christian Miller, probably the biggest pickup. Look, that was a head-to-head battle with Clemson, which we'll talk a little bit about later. Obviously, Christian Miller commits to the Dogs. Obviously, if you're a Gator fan, it was a bad day Wednesday for you, missing out on everything. Billy Baggs apparently did not secure the bag. But we'll talk a little bit about more about that when we talk about Mr. Fisher's comments on National Signing Day. But first, let's talk about this LT Overton news, guys. Juan, so he reclassifies from 2023, top consensus 5-star, reclasses into the 2022 class. A lot of people, may have caught that off guard. We kind of knew it was we knew an announcement was coming. I thought it may have been a commitment with a reclass. Ultimately reclasses, picks a top 5, right? It's supposed to take visits in March. We'll see what happens. For instance, the leaders I'm thinking are A&M right now and Georgia. I want to get your thoughts on this. First off, on the reclass and, having Overton in this class, what that would mean for Georgia, and then what it could mean for A&M. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, it's actually a trend that was started, I think, by Quinn Ewers last year when he reclassed, went to Ohio State, and of course, then he obviously jumped ship from Ohio State. But it may be a situation where, LB decided, hey, maybe this senior year we're not going to be that great. We're not going to compete for a state championship. I'd rather go ahead and get my college started early. What it would mean for Georgia right now, obviously it used to be known as running back U, but now it's going to be known as D-line U. If we can pick him up, that would be absolutely huge. He's a Georgia guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he went to that parade on Saturday that I went to. If you were even just anywhere near the area, saw it on TV. How can you go to something like that and not just come out of just a diehard Georgia fan to see all that love and everything that that they show? And I know that they have the 12th man in Texas A&M, and that's supposed to be really crazy and rowdy. But for a guy like that, making a decision at this age would probably mean, hey, I want to be closer to home. I want to make sure that my family can watch me play, go to these games. If you're out at Texas A&M, it's going to be a little bit different. But what it would mean for Texas A&M, that would be 8 5-stars. So obviously something is going on that we just don't know about. But I'll tell you what, he would be better served, being at Georgia.
It's College Station. People want to go play for an 8-4 program, Juan. They just do.
Yeah,
right?
they do. Yeah, they want to go above and beyond.
It's not $30 million. It's hypocrisy. All right. That's absurd. and it's laughable. Clown acts, all right? We're going to talk about that a little bit later, though. Save my energy for that because that's gonna be some fire coming out of there. But look, in my opinion, this take right here, I look at it this way: his reclass could bring good news to Georgia, right? I think deep ties there is what his dad's the AD at Kennesaw State. Looking at a program, I think he's looking outside of football a little bit. I think his dad might make him look, kind of think more outside of football there. But nonetheless, you look at what that means for Georgia, right? If you get him, you've already had arguably the best D-line haul that I think we may have ever had. And you're adding to it if he commits to Georgia. I think the fact that he didn't commit when he made his announcement actually kind of bodes well for us. Because I know what his top 5 was: A&M, Georgia, Oregon, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. So, we'll see what happens, what materializes, right, from these visits, where he goes, all that stuff. There'll be more. Right now I think A&M's got so much of a hot hand on the recruiting trail that, I think you have to look at them as a leader until Georgia can prove otherwise. But also I think, Georgia's in on this. I think they're in deep in that. And, looking at, comparing the two, right? Georgia's a national title team. A&M can't even win the division. I understand you've got Bama, and they beat Bama. But you can't lose to Arkansas like you did. You can't lose 4 games like you did. You just can't. And so to me, looking at it, and sure, Georgia brought in an elite class of D linemen, but look at what Texas A&M brought in. That's more impressive for what it's worth. Because the elite level of talent they brought in is just absurd. And look, we'll talk. Like I said, we're going to talk more about this, but I'm just saying. You can't. It's hard to really compare. Like you're going in there. He has to know he might not get playing time immediately, but he's just that good to where I'll get on the field. I'm good enough. To me, that has to be that mindset. Just has to be.
Yeah, you're right.
But in regards to LT, look, we're going to keep monitoring this, right? I don't see it being over until maybe March, maybe even early April. I think we'll probably see it. My prediction is probably March. Excuse me. Obviously, we'll see what happens. Look, top 5, top 10 player, consensus. Kid's really good. He'll play. He's going to be on an elite D-line player. Going to be really good wherever he goes. He's going to play. But now we're going to move on here, and we're going to talk about. And we're going to get to our offensive breakdown on Georgia, but these are so hot and so pressing that I think we just want to go ahead and get these out of the way now. Juan, I'm gonna let you make a pick, man. We really kind of set this up, but I want to let you either talk about Auburn first or A&M first. Which would you like to talk about?
Let's talk about A&M first. I mean, we already kind of set it up a little bit.
All right, so we're going to transition into this.
Yeah,
we're going to transition into the A&M. Look, I've seen A&M fans thinking that Georgia's salty, Bama's salty, all that, depending on how your coaches talk about it. Look, if you don't know what I'm talking about, press conference on National Signing Day, Jimbo basically gets questioned about this class that he's got, right? Look, they signed 7 5-stars. 7 5-stars. I think Georgia may have signed 7 one time. I think the 2017 or 2018 class. Mm-hmm. But it's not consistent. Excuse me. Got super defensive about it. Starts calling out what this bro Bible thing, sliced bread, like starts mentioning these things. And look, I'm not mad that if you're paying for players, because it's legal. Everybody knows it's legal now. So if you got it, do it, right? But to me, I felt like it was insulting my intelligence, him sitting there and saying that we're not paying players. The kids love our production. Like, they love College Station. They see what we're doing on the field. You went 8-4. You beat Bama. That's good for you. That's honestly a good thing, right? That you beat Bama. That's good. But to sit there and get that defensive when asked that kind of question and be that specific, you're basically incriminating on yourself, but trying to be defensive. Just the way it is.
Yeah.
look, like I said, as a Georgia fan, look, I'm not mad because if you paying players, I wouldn't be sitting there getting defensive about it. If I was paying players, if you got a $30 million fund, so what? Boast about it. Tell these other coaches, get used to it. It's going to be like this. We're going to pick these players up. Do something about it. Why are you trying to be all defensive about it?
Yeah.
He was also the same coach that went on. Go ahead, Juan.
No, go ahead.
No, and if you don't remember, he was also the same damn coach to go on there and say the game's been dirty. So which one is it, Jimbo? Which one?
Yeah. Well,
look,
then again, Tennille says that College Station is the best place in the world.
Yeah, Tennille. Look,
yeah, I mean, who wants to go and play in College Station? I mean, that's the biggest thing. But you also have to look at it too. You're looking just at a crook. And if you look at Jimbo Fisher, he just looks sleazy. He just looks like one of those guys that's just that sleazy, salesman, the guy on the corner that's opening up his trench coat and said, "Hey, I got what you're looking for." That type of guy. Now, on the flip side, I've got to be honest. Jimbo Fisher is a great coach, and what he's done at what he did at Florida State. I mean, he was great at Florida State. Being just a Florida State guy. I mean, he won him a national championship. Now, how he got him that national championship, he's playing with a crook quarterback that should not have been playing in that national championship, that he allows graces for a guy that's stealing crabs, that's, going around there assaulting women and all that. And he's just like, oh, well, we'll just go and then, we'll get our national championship and then just kind of get him out of there. So that's just the kind of guy he is. But then again, too, you're at Texas A&M. It's an engineering school. You're having guys that are engineers giving to this $30 million fund. So just like you said, why not go and brag and jump up and down and scream about it? Unfortunately, a lot of these other schools they're not going to be able to do that, produce that. No. But yeah, I agree with you, Miriam. She says Jimbo makes my skin crawl. What is he, 8-10? What has he won in the last 8-10 years or so? He is a sleaze. I mean, he's just one of those guys that he's just gross.
I'll tell you this. Like I said, NIL is a thing. Colleges, universities, coaches, right, whatever. We have to understand what's going on in today's world, adapt to it, and use it to your benefit, because this is what's going to separate from the good programs, the great programs, and the elite programs. The adaptability, right? I understand you have teams like Texas A&M, you have Miami, USC. The boosters there have so much money, right? Now, albeit we've had this discussion before, I think production on the field is going to play a part as well. It's not NIL is not going to be everything. It can be something for damn sure, right?
Yep.
But when you're sitting here and telling me this, there was a stat I saw on social media from 2018 up until now. 2018, 0 5 stars. This is A&M. 19, I think you saw 1. 2020, maybe 2, and then 2021, I think was 1 or 2. After 2021, this is when NIL comes into place. Think about this. Hear those numbers. You went from 2 tops to 7 as soon as NIL opens up. Looking at that stat right there, you're telling me that money didn't play a single part in it. Now, I understand that coaches have to recruit, right? The coaches have to do this. I get that. Not knocking any A&M coach. But to sit there and tell every single person in America that money did not play a factor at all into this and be that defensive, you're insulting my intelligence. Juan, they're insulting yours.
Yep.
And apparently the Colton College Station just soaks up every single thing he says. It's the Jim Jones era down there. They're drinking all the Kool-Aid, man. All the Kool-Aid.
Right. Yeah.
Look, and people can talk about it. A&M fans are you can say what you want, saying that Georgia fans are salty. Look, take it how you want it. But I'm telling you this. I'm not mad. I understand NIL's a thing. If you're paying players, it's legal now. It's illegal. It's not illegal. It is legal. You are able to do that. You do not have to be defensive and sit there and act as if it's illegal and you're trying to, justify you're not doing this.
Right.
Cut the bullshit. Cut the bullshit. I'm not mad. I'm mad that he insulted my intelligence. We know that he was the guy that went on the Paul Feinbaum show, if you watch that show, and said the game's been dirty. Now it's just a legal thing to do. And then as soon as he's accused of something, right, gets questioned about it, the tables turn as if it's illegal. Which one is it? See, that's just my thing. Look, you can pay players all you want. If you got the money, do it, fam. Do it.
Yep.
But don't sit there and insult my intelligence along with everybody else's by saying that money didn't have a part in that.
You're
that
pretending
bullshit.
pretending to not what's going on, know what's going on. I mean, it call a spade, and it is what it is. If I'm a coach and I'm getting these players based off of money, at least you can look at me, of saying I'm a coach with integrity. At least I'm being upfront and honest of how we're making these things happen. Whereas he, not so much.
Tanil brought up a good point here. And Miriam actually. Jimbo's, Tanil says, Jimbo said, "I want you to talk about it. Come find me. I'm not a hard man to find." Yeah, he literally said that. Like, that's the thing. But also you talk about it's a bigger scheme of things, right? Looking at the whole scope of college football right now and really college sports. NCAA has let this thing go. It's the wild, wild west. It's unregulated. You can't. Every state's doing it differently. So every state's going to have, certain states are going to have, benefits there. They're going to have an advantage. It's all depending on the state. Mm-hmm. The NCAA botched this from the start. They got forced to put something out when they were trying not to do it anyway. They were forced by the federal government, basically put their hand in there. And now they throw out this shitty product. You're starting to see, right? Like, it's literally the Wild West.
Yep.
This is exactly what Miriam says. If the NCAA isn't going to do its job, it should be disbanded and a new entity created to keep your sport from being destroyed. Look, the NCAA is coming to an end. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, you might see multiple leagues, or you might see a super conference league, or whatever you want to call it. And I'm telling you, the guy that's going to be heading it up is probably Greg Sankey. It's just the way that's going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and Miriam, yeah, again, your point. The NCAA is worthless. They have no rules in the NIL. The portal, it is probably one of the worst things that they have ever allowed to even take place. I mean, it's horrible, and it tells kids, hey, I'm not satisfied with the playing time. I'm not satisfied with doing any of this. I'm going to go just hop somewhere else, and you don't have to sit out. You don't have to sit out. You go there. You get a chance to go and play and compete. And then what does that say, number one, about any type of loyalty? And I get it. I know coaches are flipping and going different places and all that, but a lot of that's going to be for their family. But, you got a guy like, and nothing against Isaiah Bond. I said I coached him and my son played with him. But to say on national TV, Florida has always been my dream school, but I'm going to go to Georgia. I'm sorry, go to Alabama. Where is the law? And then, of course, if he goes to Alabama, is not happy with it, guess what? He could hop and go to Florida or go anywhere else. Whereas when I was in school, you obviously had to sit out a year. But I was telling a coach this morning, like, it took me 3 years to get on the field. And I waited my turn. And even when I was, even that third year, when I finally got on the field, I was second string in a 4 wide receiver set. So, but you know what? I loved Georgia and I loved my football team. And just because I was not getting the playing time, I came out, I was a 5-star. I was joking with my son the other day because he always says that his team could have beat our team. And they pulled this thing up in 92. I was the number 2 receiver in the nation. So I'm the number 2 receiver in the nation. And it took me 3 years to get on the football field. So now if you've got somebody that's the number 2 receiver in the nation, they're expecting to play right away. There's no way from a pride standpoint that they can, sit on the bench and wait their turn and just go in there and do what it takes. And so the rules when it comes to the NIL is horrible. The Facebook user said the NIL is going to ruin college football. I agree wholeheartedly. I agree wholeheartedly.
It's definitely if it's not going to ruin it, it's definitely going to re-image what we view college football as being.
Yep.
You're already seeing that. Miriam also talks about basically I guess you could say a theory to possibly alter, right, the transfer portal and things like that. Look, we might have to actually create a show just talking about the transfer portal, NIL, and what could be done and how things could work. We might have to set that up one. So thank you, Miriam, for bringing that up. We'll definitely have to keep that in mind. But one of the things that I'm really looking at here, Jimbo's comments. Look, for the record here, before we end this and we'll transition to something else. I'm not mad at Texas A&M for getting 7 5-stars. I'm not mad because it's recruiting, and how you do it is how you do it. If it's legal, it's legal. Fuck it. We're good, right? But don't insult my intelligence. That's why I'm upset. Look, if you're paying players, it's okay, right? If any A&M fan wants to come and sit here and hit me in the DMs and say I'm salty and all this, look, I'm not salty about y'all's recruiting class. Good. Keep it together in a couple of years. See what happens, right?
Yeah.
That's the key. But what I'm upset about is the fact that your head coach sitting here and insulting my intelligence along with everybody else that listened to that press conference. There's just so much stuff around it that it just doesn't add up to be College Station is this place to be. Yeah, it is, because there's something else under there, right? It's called the bag. Right. It's called the bag. And look, like I said, it's legal now. It's legal. Why sit there and be why hide it and be defensive about it?
Right.
Boast about it. If you got it, do it. Tell other schools to do better. Get your weight up, however you want to call it, right?
Right. Exactly.
I'm upset that you insulted my intelligence. I'm not mad that you got 7 5-stars, maybe even 8. Not mad about it, mad at all. Georgia's going to be right there in the title hunt anyway. I don't give a shit.
I don't see Texas A&M being a title contender. At all.
Yeah, so look, I'm not mad at all at Texas A&M. I'm not mad. I'm not one of them. You might have some other folks that are.
Yep.
But I'm not.
Yep.
I'm just
Facebook user said it's the line. And Saban's with the same trash. Now Saban is calling for regulation of the transfer portal after he's gotten some Georgia players and players all over the place.
Don't tell that to Lincoln Riley. You heard? Yeah. You hear about Lincoln? What his comments were on National Signing Day?
No.
The worst person that you could sit there and say what he said, he did. Look, I've talked to Oklahoma folks. They hate him.
Yep.
For what he did. My man left almost like in the middle of the night, called a divorce off, right? Goes out west, goes to LA, raids the portal. I think the recruiting class was fine, but he had I want to say at some point maybe 20 some kids from the portal, raided Oklahoma, got a kid Travis Dye from Oregon, different places, right? Kids transferring to USC. All portal, right? 20 some kids or something like that in the portal. Just ridiculous amounts of stuff. And then sits there and it needs to be regulated. There needs to be guardrails because it's bad for players. It's bad for coaches. What?
Yeah.
You're saying this. You're saying this.
Yeah.
I heard this yesterday. It sounds to me like he's kicking the ladder out from underneath of him. Oh, I did this. I took advantage of it, but it's not good. So let's do some regulation so it doesn't happen again.
Right.
Kind of thing. Yeah. That bullshit.
Just best to keep your mouth shut. Just shut your mouth.
They can't keep their mouth shut, man.
Right.
Look, like I said, the transfer portal, it is what it is. If it's not getting regulated, so be it. Right? It's legal.
Yep.
It's Wild Wild West. Get over it.
Yep.
Learn how to shoot a gun or you're gonna get killed. Right?
Yep.
Simple enough. But the comment right there was just complete insulting your intelligence. Both guys did, in my opinion.
Yep.
And Tanil says Kirby just keeps his mouth shut. No, I think Kirby just says the right things. He don't sit there and kind of stuff his foot in his mouth in that regard. Like I said, we saw exactly what Lincoln Riley did. Goes to USC, right? It is what it is. Goes to USC, but then he picks Oklahoma's team apart through the portal. Just have insane amount. Look, Oklahoma's still going to be fine. Brent Venables is going to be fine.
Yep.
But my man picked up Caleb Williams. He took a ton of kids and their commitments. Not even that. So you look at that right there, and then come out and say this is bad for the athletes, it's bad for the coach. What? Like that like the same shit that Jimbo does. Insult your intelligence. That's the problem. It's not what you did. It's just the fact that you insult my intelligence and saying shit like that.
Right.
Like, it makes no sense. So it's like, it is what it is. But I want to talk about this right here because this comes a little bit closer to home. Auburn. Brian Harsin. I don't know what's going. Like I've heard what's going on, but what's going on is causing Auburn to be just a complete mess. And look, as dog fans, I'm all for this. There's been rumor, like what it sounds like, rumors or speculations that like he had an affair with an assistant or something like that. Definitely Bobby Petrino vibes there. Definitely. I mean, might even
riding
walk
on
in
the back of motorcycles and stuff. Yeah.
Neck brace and everything, might come out with that into a press conference.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, apparently, look, Austin Davis gets hired from the Seahawks. Not even there a month and a half, steps down. Right. So you lose your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator. Bobo comes to Georgia, which did you hear about his contract details? $100K to get Bobo back to Athens.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah, like crumbs.
Oh yeah, but anyways, you sit there, like I said, you lose Mason. Mason goes to Oklahoma State or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose both your coordinators. You bring in an offensive coordinator. He steps down. Apparently, all that stuff right there. Now you've got former players that transferred out. I want to say like Lee Hunter was basically said that they got treated like dog shit. In this attempt to win, right? Like you have that right there. You have this whole affair possibility, right? Like, look, there's talks about him getting the major players there. Right, everybody knows Auburn is ran by the boosters. Gus should have never left, right? But we saw what happens. This is what happens when you get too rambunctious and too much micromanagement from your important boosters. You let go of the guy that can somewhat consistently beat Nick Saban, and now this is you're reaping what you sow. You get Brian Harsin, and within a year and a half, just complete. Like just a complete dumpster fire. Like no, like you're literally your whole fan base is running around with like your eagle with your head cut off, right? I don't know if like is it a tiger, an eagle? Who knows? We're just gonna go
Plainsmen. They're also the Plainsmen too.
The Plainsmen, like which one is it? Pick it. Like that's another thing that pisses me off about Auburn. Pick your damn mascot and be done with it. But enough about that. It's just a complete mess. And obviously this still is kind of like an ongoing thing. So obviously news will come, as it comes. But if I'm an Auburn fan,
it's disarray.
And 110%.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of disarray. And then ranking wise, they're number 18. That's got to be tough. There's nothing about their recruiting class that was anything special that you'd look at and be like, whoa, like that's they got a big get. Harsin has it's weird. You almost are kind of like, what are you doing? I thought at one point in time when he let Bobo go, and the wide receiver coach that he was trying to bring in some of his old guys from Boise State, but that wasn't the case at all. It's just a train wreck. And then even, because, my son got an opportunity to go down and visit, throw, and it just had an eerie feel about it. It just wasn't something that was right. So, I'm not mad about it.
You said they didn't when you're having to go up against Georgia and Alabama every year, you have to hit the recruiting trail and make and win victories, win recruiting battles. They didn't at all.
Nope.
At all. And that how much of that's on Harsin? A lot because
and they had some momentum. I mean, if you sit there and think about it, no different from Texas A&M. You could say you took Alabama in overtime and all, and it's an easy sell. All we need is you. All we need is a few players, and then we're going to get over that mountain. Why don't you come to Auburn, like be a part of something special? And they couldn't do it. Like I said, they were 18. They were 18. And I only know that because Stanford was 17. So,
look at that. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you this. Look, 18th nationally is not bad. if you're any conference except the SEC.
Exactly. 100%.
Like, let's be honest here. This will be a good transition over here. The top 3 classes, guys. The top 3 classes. A&M, Alabama, Georgia. Then you had Ohio State and Texas rounding out the top 5. I think Texas jumped Ohio State potentially for 4. I know with Devin Campbell, that's a big pickup from them. But we're not talking about the Horns. Top 3. That means if you're outside of the top 5, you're 4th in the SEC right now.
Yeah.
Basic math tells me this. You know what I mean? So
yeah, absolutely.
Look, there's 14 teams right now in the SEC.
Yep.
If you're not a top 5 team, you're already putting yourself close to the middle of the pack. And you tell me, you sit there and you hype up a top 15 class.
Yeah, you're right.
If you're in the SEC, you can't boast about a top 15 class.
Not even close. Patrick says Auburn is approaching Florida dumpster fire level. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right.
You know what, Patrick, I want you to understand that comment right there just shows you how damn good Georgia has it right now.
Yeah.
Coming off of a national championship, your 2 biggest rivals are complete and utter messes.
Yeah.
Billy Bags missed and whiffed on everything National Signing Day. Auburn, we just talked about this. Damn, it feels good to be a dog. That's all I'm going to say.
When the Facebook user, earlier said, Auburn's going to be a dumpster fire for several years. The program is in shambles. And then he also asked, when is Texas and Oklahoma coming over? I'm going to tell you right now, Texas and Oklahoma are going to be in for an absolute beatdown year in and year out. I mean, they just are. To have Venables going over there, they're going to improve defensively, but I don't see them doing very well offensively. And then, of course, you got Sarkisian, who's a great offensive mind. But Texas was terrible last year. They were absolutely terrible.
If Texas tells you anything about how they're going to do anything in the SEC, tell them to focus on Kansas. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, right.
Now, but to answer this question, though, the contract, if I'm not mistaken, was supposed to be up in 2025 initially. The initial thoughts from a lot of people were that they were going to hop in almost immediately. If I had to make a prediction, I think you see it 2023. And Juan's point, talking about just getting utterly annihilated when they come in. I agree, but I disagree slightly. Texas is going to have a rough transition. Oklahoma, I think, is more suited to be in a place where they have a little bit more success early. I don't see them. I don't see this Missouri situation when they joined, right, catching the East when we were all down and winning the SEC East like their second year. I don't see that.
Yeah,
but I do see them. Look, depending on how it plays out, right? More than likely, you're going to a pod scenario. So, however those pods play out, it's going to be telling, right? Because I expect them to have a couple losses. Look, the Big 12, you have Baylor, and let's be honest, Dave Aranda and that defense at Baylor was legit defense. Not going to be mad about that. Not gonna crap on that. But it's not the SEC. Yeah. And you can tell me all this about this SEC bias, but when you're sitting there and you have to play Alabama, Arkansas, hey, Arkansas beat the shit out of Texas. Think about that. Beat the hell out of Texas. So Texas, I'm sorry, but I don't think you're ready.
I think the difficulty for Oklahoma is going to be, number one, you've got a defensive coach that's coming in there. So they're going to go from they want to do, and typically your defensive coaches, your Sabins, your Kirbys, and all these guys, and even landing out in Oregon, they want to slow the game down. They want to slow the game down. They want to put it in the defense's hands, and then they want to just try to run the football. And starting out, it's almost better to be kind of high powered and opening it up and not have that mindset. So I think Oklahoma, they will have the pieces, but then again, if you're going into a situation, if I'm an offensive guy, receiver, quarterback, I don't want to go into a situation like that. I just don't, where, you got a defensive minded coach that says, hey, I want to kind of slow it down, run the football, and play with our defense, short passes and all that kind of stuff. They may struggle a little bit if if Venables has that mindset.
Absolutely. So we've done enough talk around the SEC, around the whole gauntlet of the NCAA. Let's transition this to focus on Georgia, and let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. Right. In my opinion, obviously a top 3 class. We finished 3rd for what it's worth. Obviously LT depending on it, but we're not there yet. But on the offensive side of the ball, to me, it seemed like Georgia picked positions of need, but could have done better in certain spots too, right? So we'll start off with quarterback, right? Gunnar Stockton. I think for what it's worth, I don't know how the quarterback position will play out. I don't think nobody does right now. I expect him to not really see much playing time this year. Maybe next year you might see something different, but nonetheless, he's still a good quarterback, right? We've talked about this. In my opinion, I think he needs to be better in the pocket. He's, if you've watched him at Rabun County, you kind of know he's really good at rollouts and making plays on the run, and that's valuable. That is very valuable. And we saw him even in the All-American game. Being that type of bully runner, right? Like he's physical running the ball. How much of that matters? I want to see if he has the mobility, right? He can move out of the pocket and everything. When you go to the SEC, those guys hit, and when they hit, they move you. Like you've played in this, you understand where I'm coming from. If I'm Gunner, or if I'm Todd Monken and I have any kind of visit, for his future, I'm telling you, I want to see him stay more in the pocket, but also if you need to run out, do that right there. The running, learn to slide, my man. Like just to extend your career. Nothing wrong with it, but just to extend your career, slide, right? That's as valuable for quarterback. But if I'm looking at the quarterback room, I'm grading it a B+, right? Gunner was a really good quarterback, right? Kind of a small time football, up there in Rabun County, but you have to give the accolades, right? Like broke state records, right? That's valuable stuff. Like you can't discredit things like that. So I'm giving it a B+. What would you grade the quarterback room for the 2022 class?
Well, I'm not the biggest Gunner fan. I'm just not. I don't think that from a traditional Georgia quarterback, if you just go all the way back to Eric Zier, and as you go, they just had those guys. They sit in the pocket, they make accurate throws. Just kind of like that whole JT Daniels. I think Stetson did a decent job of really sitting in the pocket. Of course, he had that escapability, but being comfortable in the pocket. And if you look around the SEC, you will see that you don't have those guys that are big time runners. You had that with Arkansas, and I tell you what, man, he went, and when they played Georgia, he took about 2 or 3 hits, and he then became tried to become a pocket passer. So from the quarterback room, you've got Stetson coming back. Not sure what Carson Beck's going to do. You've got Vandergriff. You've got Gunner. I would say I'd give it a C. Really, you don't have that guy that's really just that breakout guy to me. Obviously, if we would have gotten Caleb Williams, that would have been a huge pickup. But in the grand scheme of things, that's Kirby's type of guy. He doesn't want a gunslinger. He doesn't want that guy that's going to go out there and make plays or have to throw 30, 40, 50 times a game. So this is exactly, he's completely fine with that. Let's rely on the running game. Let's rely on our defense, special teams, and we'll make it happen. And you're doing that. And, just it. I would say a C, quarterback wise. And then, but who knows? Like I'm still holding out hope for Arch. If we get Arch Manning,
a lot of time for 2023. We're going to cover that a lot.
I'll tell you this. I will tell you this. If I'm Arch Manning and I'm looking at the Georgia quarterback room, I'm jumping for joy right now. I'm skipping, I'm singing and dancing because he's going to have an opportunity to play as a freshman if he comes in. I think he's going to be that good. Whereas if you go to Alabama, you're going to have to sit a year, depending on if Bryce Young, leaves early. So
well, yeah, and then you still got Ty Simpson.
Yeah,
Ty Simpson's gonna be a good kid. Yeah.
Ty Simpson, and then no matter and no telling who else they're going to be looking at, or who may even get from the transfer portal. But if I'm Arch, I'm looking at Georgia. So
absolutely. Now we're going to transition over to the running backs, and everybody's familiar with Branson, right? Branson signed in the early signing day. Look, Branson brings that kind of what we need to the running back, but just a couple of days ago, Andrew Paul, right? We also lose Jordan James. He flips from Georgia to Oregon, and we had been talking about that as well. We kind of knew it was coming, right? Kind of the writing was on the wall there, but nonetheless, you lose Jordan James, you pick up Andrew Paul in a really tight battle with Clemson. Because really, up to that point, nobody really knew what Paul was going to do. But if I'm taking and I'm solely looking at the two backs that we got, I'm giving it a solid B+ on this. Again, you look at what they bring in. I don't know if you've looked at it, but if you haven't, I suggest you look at Andrew Paul's highlight tape. You look at what it is in the Dallas area. You look at his tape, and it's just, to me, because we know what Branson's about, right? We've saw Branson. We've done a lot of research on Branson. He's been in the class for a while, but we didn't know much about Andrew Paul. Late riser in the class. Look, he's got easy speed. He's got quick. He's very fast, right? It doesn't look fast, but it is. You have that right there on top of patience and his cuts. One thing that most impressed me was his cuts, but he can break tackles and he can do a lot and do it all, right? Now, we'll see how it transitions to see how he comes in at Georgia. But if I'm taking those two guys right there, I'm giving this class a B+ for the running backs. But you also have to understand, 2023, it doesn't matter if you picked up Andrew Paul or not. I guarantee you Georgia's going to go hard. Del McGee is going to go for two elite backs because the 2023 class is just that deep with elite talent at running backs.
Yeah, I'm going to – before B-Mac came in, I would have said a B+. Now that B-Mac is there, I'm going to give him an A. He's just going to elevate those guys, and he's going to make sure with Brian McClendon, even though he's the wide receiver coach, he's also going to be the passing game coordinator. You can best believe he's going to make a way for those backs to get the ball out of the backfield. You got Branson coming in. There was a picture of him. And I think he was at a camp, MVP camp or whatnot. He looked like probably like in his 30s, and he looked like this big muscular father of six. I mean, he is humongous, and
he's massive.
Yeah, he's massive. And then of course you look at his highlights; it's not just massive, but he just runs angry. And when you got guys that are running angry, even though, like I said, he's got the patience, he's got the vision, but he just runs angry. And then of course, given what we have right now, I'm going to say an A, just because I truly believe, even though B-Mac is not the running back coach, he's going to level those guys up.
I mean, think about this though. You talk about B-Mac, but he's a receivers coach / pass game coordinator. Think about that. That right there, that pass game coordinator, that gives him the ability to touch the running backs a little bit. And in regards to that right there, that development from the running backs when he gets to work with them, I can understand why you're giving it an A now. But let's move on. Here is the first question mark where I really have with the offensive side of the ball, and that's at the receiver position. You have Chandler Smith, you have Denylon Morissette, you have Cole Spear, right? You have Cole Spear and Dylan Bell, right? And look, while those guys, you add, you're losing a lot from the normal team, the current team. You're replacing them. Denylon, CJ is a burner. Denylon, we've talked about this. Denylon, it could come in and play right away if you really wanted to. I still have questions here. Facebook user says they're concerned with our wide receiver room and the offensive line. We'll talk about that in just a second. Bell, I like what I see with that, with Bell and Cole Spear. All these guys are good, but it's the misses that we missed on. Luther Burden. If we hit Luther Burden and he comes to Georgia, I'm giving it a B-. Just because I like what the niche kind of roles that we got with CJ, with Denylon. Not knocking Dylan Bell, not knocking those guys right there, but I love what I see from Denylon and I love what I see from CJ Smith. because CJ Smith has that freakish speed that Arian Smith has. But nonetheless, I'm giving it a B- because we needed to hit and we need to get that elite receiver. Pickens is gone. Pickens was that elite receiver that we got, right? He's gone now. Jermaine Burton's gone now. I understand what we're bringing back, right? AD, Ladd, all these guys. Look, they made plays and everything like that. But from this recruiting class solely, you don't have that elite receiver. Luther Burden, if you watch his All-Star game, the first play catches it to the house. I think it was like 65, 70 yards. Straight to the house. Boop. Shit like that is what Georgia needs if we're trying to literally keep evolving and becoming that juggernaut that we want to be. We got to that. We got to the pinnacle now. Now we got to stay up there. Having an elite receiver is what you need. It's not what you want. It's what you need to be there, right? I understand. I'm not looking at what we've got currently on the team. I'm trying to focus solely on the recruiting class. We didn't get that elite game changer. We got great players, but we didn't get that elite game changer, which is why I'm giving it a B- and almost a C+.
I'm gonna give it an A+ times a million. I think Bell.
Is it the BMAC?
Huh?
It
has nothing to do with BMAC. So today's February 4th, 2022. I'm telling you right now, you heard it here first. The Nylon will probably be one of the best receivers at the University of Georgia. He didn't get a chance to play in that All-American Bowl because of COVID. I think that when they did the testing, I think he tested positive for COVID. If you have an opportunity to look at some film, and he was actually out half of the year, with a hand injury, he completely changes the entire football game. And again, I'm a wide receiver, so I know, like I've coached him. I've seen him since he was in the 7th grade. And you just know, you'll look at somebody and you're just like, wow, I can't even believe this is happening. But he is that guy. He's fast. He's gonna blow the top off of it. He goes and all these plays that you see in the NFL, he's a dog. And when I say a true dog, meaning that when that ball goes up, he's the only one that feels like he's on the field by himself. He's going to get it. He's going to snatch. So he is that elite. I mean, he is absolutely amazing. But and I see here too, Facebook user, we needed to use our elite QB. No elite receiver is going to come here unless we get the ball to them down the field 1,000%. But the Nylon is going to be that jump ball guy too. He is. I'm telling you right now. Please, we'll go back to this. We'll come back to this podcast when I tell you he is going to be that much of a game changer. He's that good.
You heard it from him right there.
Yep.
So like I said, I think the misses is like I said, I love what we brought in from a receiving corps standpoint. I think all these guys are going to have successful careers, things like that, right? But like I said, I think the misses is what had to peg me down some, because if we hit Luther Burden, if we get Kojo Answe, in my opinion, is more raw than Denialin right now. And him going to Ohio State, in my opinion, is probably the best thing he could have made, the decision-wise. Because Brian Hartline is going to develop him like nobody else. And I love Terrence Edwards, but him going there, he's going to get developed by, in my opinion, the best receivers coach in the country. And I love B-Mac. I know what he can do. But Brian Hartline is probably the best developing wide receivers coach in the country. And for him to be where he is now in regards to being raw, Brian Hartline's going to polish him up, and then his ceiling is going to be ridiculously high anyway. So if he can tap into that potential by developing him, that's what's going to make the Kojo miss a lot worse for us. But like I said, I genuinely like what, and Juan said this himself, Denialin's going to be a dude. And I agree with that. He's ready to come in and play right away SEC football. You look at Dylan Bell. Dylan Bell will find a way to get on the field. He's that twitchy, kind of like open space type guy. He just fits in. He's gonna find his way onto the field. Kirby's been known to rotate these receivers anyway. You get where I'm going with this. Cole Spears kind of the same way. Maybe not as twitchy, but I think he's a good route runner, solid hands. But then you got C.J. Smith. C.J. Smith is Arian Smith, hopefully just a little bit more healthy. And I love Arian Smith, what he's able to do. When he's on the field, we know what he can do. But Arian Smith has to stay healthy. But if not, C.J. Smith is that burner, the Arian Smith burner right there that we need. So all like in regards to niches and roles, I love what we brought in. I'm giving it a B. I think it was a B minus, just solely off the misses and how impactful those can be to what George is bringing in. But that's also going to bring us to the tight end spot, which I give an A plus. Give Todd Hartley the bag. Give that man the bag, because it's not only what he's doing for 2022. I mean, couple years past, obviously you see what happens. Darnell tried to bring in Arik Gilbert, ultimately gets him in here after he goes to LSU. You sit there, you look at Brock Bowers. He gets his man. He is the Mountie. He gets his man. He always gets his man. WWF reference right there, baby. But no. So you have, like I said, Brock Bowers, and now you got Oscar Delp for this class. And if you watch Oscar Delp, he's at receiving tight end, similar to what you see from Bowers. I think he gets his blocking down a little bit better. Kid's going to be on the field. And now you sit there, if Darnell, which I think Darnell could honestly stick around, and if that's the case, it's huge. It's huge. Because then you give me Brock Bowers, you give me Darnell. You could put 13 personnel and open it up into a complete empty set and run it that way. Think about that. Like, you run an empty set with 3 tight ends and 2 receivers, and you give me the threat right there. Like, whether you put like, I'm just sitting here getting thoughts as I'm talking. Give me like Arik Gilbert at the receiver, right? Give me him right there on the same side. Give me Darnell on the same side. Give me bunched up on the right side. Give me Bowers and Delp, and then give me A.D. Mitchell on the other side. Just picture that. You don't even need a running back there. Just get a coach. It's just insane. The size is alone right there. So, like I said, just picturing all this right here, the 13 personnel could be a thing if Delp pans out like we expect him to. So, Mama Delp over here, it's going to be fun. Yep. It's going to be fun, is all I'm going to say. So,
yep, Richard Johnson just said it. This almost isn't fair. It really. I mean, it's Monken has a goal mind. You can do so many things, and it's hard as a defensive coordinator to prepare for. It really, really is.
So I'm giving it A plus. Juan, I'm assuming you're probably thinking close to the same.
I'm on the same. I echo everything that you said.
I think it's unanimous there.
Yeah.
All right. So final thing we're going to talk about the offensive line class. In my opinion, the big one in this offensive line class, definitely Ernest Green. And I love what I see from Ernest Green. Kid is going to play like an animal. He's going to be an animal. It's going to be insane. You're not going to sit there. I was watching Brooks. Shout out Brooks Austin. Watching a film study. Kid has insane hands, super strong hands. You're not going to sit there and bully him. He will bully you. He will bully you. So I love what I got from Ernest Green. Missed on Elijah Pritchett. I think Elijah Pritchett could be the best offensive lineman in this class. It was kind of a weak offensive line class. But Elijah Pritchett going to Bama is going to sting, because I think he's going to be probably the best one to come out of this class at the end of the day.
Yep.
But nonetheless, like I said, you get Ernest Green, right? And then you look at what else you bring in.
Bobo,
so you've got Alubah from IMG.
Yep.
Jacob Hood, big kind of a project, man. I mean big. I'm talking big. 6'8", about 340, right? Big project. Then you got Griffin Scroggs, out of Grayson.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now, people can say what he wants, right? What you want about Griffin, and I kind of questioned a little bit. But I think what I saw at the All-American game is I understand why we're starting to see him and his importance in this class, and that's the ability to be a true center. Obviously you got Cedric Van Pran, going to be a dude. He's already shown that. He's going to continue to be that way. But getting Griffin Scroggs in as a true center, in my opinion, I think is going to be truly beneficial.
Who can move? I expect you to see him play. He can flat out move. And it's so funny because I had an opportunity to coach Griffin for 2 years. And, he was our tackle because he was hands down the biggest kid on the field. But his attitude, he's a team first guy. But his attitude is once that whistle blows, or once that clock is set, he goes out there to try to punish anybody in his way, and he's just only going to a situation in which he's going to compete, and those guys are going to make each other better. So that's a great situation. Then you got Bobo. You got Drew Bobo
and Drew
coming
Bobo.
in,
Drew Bobo
as well, who's probably of the linemen will probably be the most cerebral. Probably will know the game more so than others, just simply for the fact that his dad has been an offensive coordinator, has been a head coach, and now he's going to be an offensive analyst. So he is probably going to be one of the smartest guys, and don't be surprised if you see him get on the field a lot earlier than most of those guys, because he'll be able to pick those things up very, very quickly.
Absolutely. So we're going to recap this offensive class. Look, if I had to give my grade for the offensive line, I'm giving it a solid B. Look, I have to give it a B, but just based off solely, it's kind of a weak class. Like, for what it's worth, I think 2023 is going to be ridiculously strong. 2021 was too. But I think based off the class, I can't give it any kind of an A grade, honestly. And that's, like I said, that's just a knock to the whole entirety of the class, in my opinion. But getting Ernest Green was big. It was big. So I'm gonna give it probably a solid B, because, like I said, I wish we would have gotten Elijah Pritchett. I think that right there, if you get Ernest Green and Elijah Pritchett, then I think you really push that B+, A- level, because you got some of the best within this class. Missing on Elijah Pritchett kind of stings, but look, like you said, you got Drew Bobo, Griffin Scroggs. They're going to come in, they're going to compete, they're going to be dogs. They're going to play physical, they're mean. That's all the stuff you kind of want, right? And then you kind of get that project, in my opinion, with Jacob Hood, but the measurables, if you tap into it and get it the right way, could be a huge reward, right?
Right.
So I have to give it like a B, solid B. Like I said, I think you go B+ if you get Elijah Pritchett. That was a big miss.
Yeah. I'm with you, B. I mean, there's not really anything you can rant and rave about. So, I'm with you on that.
So if we're gonna do, we'll do one little segment here, and then we're gonna wrap it up for today. Give me your X factor on the offense. Who is your X factor for this class?
Denylon. I can't say it enough. I cannot say it enough. He's that guy.
See, I want to go with you, but for the sake of the show, I want to kind of switch it up. Give me Del. No. Give me Branson. Give me Branson.
I like it.
I know he's got Kendall and Kenny right now, but I'm telling you, he's going to see some playing time early, especially with how Kirby likes to rotate.
Yep.
And look, there was a lot of work that was done, and I don't want to sleep on Andrew Paul, so don't get me wrong here, but I'm just saying, Branson Robinson can do it all.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how fluid he is, right? It's going to be interesting to see. But like I said, I think Denylon's going to be there, and I wanted to use that, but you took it.
Yep.
I'm going to switch it up and go Branson.
Yes,
I still think Branson.
Yep. Hey, Richard's with you too. He said Branson all damn day.
Look, I'll say this too. You could also give me Delp. I think Delp's going to do the same thing that you see with Brock Bowers ultimately. Yep. That's just me. But I wanted to go Branson. Look, I understand he's a little bit different. Like his body composition kind of reminds you of a Nick Chubb, but he's not Nick Chubb. He's just not.
Yeah.
He's kind of does this. I don't know if you've ever seen his tape, but he kind of does this real like fast feet, kind of like patience, and it's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah.
So like you give me that patience and everything, but he's been working on catching balls out of the backfield as well. That's really kind of caught my attention too, and that's going to be big. That's going to be big.
Huge.
So there's your X factor for the offense. Obviously, the offensive breakdown. Look, we've talked a lot, Juan. We've talked a lot. We're not going to do a Q&A today. We've went on a tangent for an hour now, so we're going to wrap it up for today. Obviously, let us know what you thought about the offense. Give us your grades. Give us your X factor if you choose to do so. Who is that X factor? If you want to type it in the comments or let us know on social media, whatever the case may be. Also, let us know about. Look, we got a Discord now where you can sit there and talk Georgia football. Use the link right here if you want to join. Look, it's completely free, fun. We just sit there and chit chat. Got teams from all across the country, really. Got some Gators in there. Got some Vols. I need my dogs to show up though. But look, Juan, nonetheless, my man, great show. And can't wait for Friday or Monday, I should say. Wow. Can't wait for Monday. We're going to break down the defensive side of the ball. Look, we're not going to have none of these, we're not going to have this discussion about Jimbo. We're not having none of that. So we're going straight into defense because defense was heavy in this class. Absolutely heavy in this class.
Yes, it was.
So stick around for Monday.
Appreciate the shout out, Richard. Appreciate that, man. That's awesome.
Yes, sir. With that being said, though, guys, have a great weekend. Remember, Monday, we're going to be talking about the defense. Same thing you saw here, same time. With that being said, Juan, have a great weekend, and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
Thanks for listening to the DGD Podcast. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and to the DGD Podcast YouTube channel, where you can watch live Mondays and Fridays at noon Eastern. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the DGD Podcast. And check out the website at www.dgdpodcast.com.